everybody out there in Scope Land. We're here with a special Scope segment we've called Scope Madness, the Robin Williams edition. Jared is over there grooving out to the fanfare. We're doing a tribute to the late, great Robin Williams. We don't want to get into anything but positivity about Robin Williams. He has had a fantastic movie career.
But let's shit on half of these movies.
He seriously has a pretty vast movie career,
and
I would
varied,
say. Varied. There's a lot of stuff going on. And we thought, what better way to pay tribute to Robin Williams than to put him in a bracket reminiscent of March Madness and then debate all of his films and eventually come up with a winner.
Right. Now, it's important to remember anytime brackets are in play, fuck Duke.
Fuck Duke. We're going to do our best to make sure that Duke does not advance out of the third round.
All right.
Some ground rules.
Yep.
Number one, brackets created by Scope Show semi-regular Al. He is known for his musical categorizing ability, but I asked him to step out of his comfort zone, put together something for Robin Williams, and he was
trained bracketologist.
He's a trained bracketologist, and he did it. He said, I don't care if it doesn't have music. We're going to do this for Robin Williams. So I was very impressed. Thank you again, Al. I told him I would give him a lot of shout-outs, and I did.
Now, we have some notable films that get a bye in the first round. Why is that, Shane?
Okay, so the way Al decided to put the bracket together was to rank movies by box office performance. So that is not adjusted for inflation, Jared. I know you asked me that question.
That would be a lot to ask.
I mean,
a trained bracketologist might do that, but
we put this together on somewhat short notice.
We did.
So that's
his best.
That's how things are ranked. And there are some movies, notable movies, missing. I don't know how Al decided that, if it was just purely economics. I know, for instance, The World According to Garp, we talked about this earlier, is not on the list, but that was Robin Williams' first major breakout role. And beyond, I think he was in Popeye as well. But it probably didn't make a lot of money back in the early 80s, so that's why it did not make the list. So we're not trying to poop on that movie, or if you have some other favorite Robin Williams movies that are not on the list, we are sorry. That's the way it goes. And we're not doing cameos either.
No.
So like 9 Months, where he played a gynecologist.
North,
not in there. He has to have some sort of lead role or a featured player that is substantial.
And now this is a bracketed tournament, so inevitably there's going to be some upsets. So if you look at the entire pool of films and you have your favorite you think is the number one Robin Williams film, there is a good chance it will not make it to the finals.
There can only be one winner.
Very good chance.
Only
there
one
will
winner.
Only be one winner. We will determine who goes on to the next round by we'll be reading both the competitors in that particular battle, and then the three of us will make a comment, and then we will each pick the film we want to advance. The film that gets the majority of the votes goes on to the next.
Mm-hmm.
The film that does not will never be viewed by us again.
It will be stricken from our memory.
Stricken from our memory. We have no more time for that film. So we've got 4 divisions, guys.
We do.
Let's start with the Nanu division.
Nanu division.
We've got some heavy hitters in here. Let's start with the first film, Aladdin. This is our number 1 seed, by the way. This is Robin Williams'
Overall number 1, okay.
This is seriously he brought in the most money with Aladdin. Aladdin's a street rat. Is the only.
It's the number 1 seed in this conference.
Yes, that's true. Take that back.
This conference. This is the West Conference. I don't know. Do we need conferences too?
It's the Nanu Conference.
Well, but there's.
Oh, you mean like the overarching? Yes.
So there's you've got 2 different divisions in this conference. You've got 16 seeds. Some of them are buys.
This conference, Jared, I proclaimed it the Mork Conference.
This is the Mork Conference.
Mork Conference.
Got it.
So we've got Aladdin. This is the 1992 Disney film. Aladdin's a street rat. He's the only person who can enter a cave of wonders and retrieve a magical lamp for the dark Jafar. Aladdin becomes trapped in the cave with his sidekick Abu and accidentally discovers the resident of the lamp. Aladdin develops a relationship with the genie and uses his wishes to become a prince to chase the affections of Princess Jasmine. When Jafar finally steals the lamp and gets 3 wishes of his own, Aladdin must rely on his intelligence to trick Jafar and save his friends and the kingdom. Now, this is a film where you have Robin Williams doing tons of impressions of people that did not exist in that time.
Indeed.
But he also brought a lot of more adult-centered humor to the Disney animated films of that time, which were not getting that. So I would say this is a transformative film for animation and led the way for a lot of good stuff. Guess what? Aladdin gets a bye. Guess what? Aladdin goes on to the next round.
It's like we shouldn't have even talked about it.
Well, we want to talk about it.
We'll talk about it, man.
Aladdin goes on. Next matchup, we've got 2 terrific films.
Ooh.
Maybe.
This is a middle seed. So you got a 9 seed against an 8 seed.
Right here, we've got the first film we're going to talk about is Popeye, 1980.
Popeye.
This comic strip and animated sailor comes to life in this meticulous live-action production that looks at the origins of Popeye and his battle against arch-rival Bluto. Nearly all the characters from the strip are reproduced here. This is an odd film.
I hate this movie.
Okay, Adam hates this movie.
It used to be on HBO all the time.
This is an HBO film,
and
for
just
sure.
made me angry.
Well, we're putting it against another movie that you may not like very much. It's 2007's License to Wed. It's a number 8 seed.
Mm-hmm.
A reverend, played by Robin Williams, puts up an engaged couple through a grueling marriage preparation course to see if they are meant to be married in his church. It stars John Krasinski and Mandy Moore, along with Robin Williams. Jared, we're going to go to you first.
Okay.
You've got 2 films here, completely different. Opposite ends of the spectrum, I would say, and opposite ends of Robin Williams' career. Go.
I've not seen License to Wed, so that's probably going to be a problem for that film in its advancing. Popeye I haven't seen since I was a child, but I remember enjoying it quite a bit as a kid. Just seeing Robin Williams. Did he shave his head for that? I forget.
He had a very tight cut.
Very tight cut. Okay.
He had big forearms.
But to me, he was doing the Popeye cartoon in live action. I thought it was a convincing role. The music was fun. Loved seeing all the characters. I'm going to have to go with Popeye to advance to the next round.
Adam.
I hated Popeye. I don't know if I've mentioned this yet. Hated it. Always on HBO.
It was constantly on
Always
HBO.
on
Yep.
HBO. And I
didn't have HBO.
I didn't have any feelings about the cartoon. I just remember watching this movie and being like, the fuck is this? License to Wed is one of the most forgettable movies on this whole list, though. So I'm going to actually pick Popeye to move.
All right. And I'll chime in. I would pick Popeye as well. It's a nostalgia movie for me. I watched it on HBO as a kid. But if you go back and look at Popeye, it is a fairly impressive representation of a comic strip, which probably never should have been made into a movie in the first place. This comic strip was out of date when this movie was made. I mean,
Right.
the comic strip was a 20s and 30s thing, which then also got some play in cartoons later on.
It's like the first Batman.
Yeah, it is. It's similar in that regard. Robin Williams does a great Popeye, and everybody in the
Are you hearing how he's pronouncing this?
That's why I laughed at it when he first said it. Popeye.
Popeye.
So strange.
I'm sort of like Schmidt talking about things in New Girl.
It's a Popeye console.
That being said,
Counsel.
it's sort of a crappy movie.
Yeah.
But it's
fine.
better than License to Wed.
Right.
There you go.
Popeye moves on, the number 9 seed.
Two middling films. One of them has to emerge victorious. Popeye's the winner.
All right, now we're going to get some interesting stuff here. Next in the Nanu division, number 5 seed, 1987, Good Morning, Vietnam.
Could be one of his best films ever.
Set in Saigon in 1965 during the Vietnam War, the film stars Robin as a radio DJ on armed forces radio service who proves hugely popular with the troops but infuriates his superiors with what they call his irreverent tendency. The story is loosely based on the experiences of radio DJ Adrian Cronauer. And its competitor, number 12 seed, 2002's Death to Smoochie. Kid show host Rainbow Randolph is fired in disgrace while his replacement, Sheldon Mopes, a.k.a. Smoochie the Rhino, finds himself a rising star. Unfortunately for Sheldon, the kid's TV business isn't all child's play. Also stars Edward Norton and Danny DeVito. Adam, we're going to you first. Good Morning Vietnam versus Death to Smoochie, please.
Death to Smoochie, or the movie that killed Jon Stewart's burgeoning acting career, film career. I get that it's a dark comedy, but I find it unwatchable.
Okay.
Good Morning Vietnam, I feel like it's an overrated movie, but I still like it. So I would pick Good Morning Vietnam.
Jared, to you.
Death to Smoochie could be one of the best films ever, and I say that not saying that it is. It doesn't matter.
It's very confusing.
It doesn't matter how good it is because it's going up against a juggernaut in Good Morning Vietnam.
Yep.
Good Morning Vietnam is definitely one of my top 3 favorite Robin Williams films. I think it's funny throughout. It's got a lot of quotable lines.
Shiny green suit, Jared.
Yes, exactly. You know, it's hot and wet. It's great if you're with a woman, but it's no good if you're in the jungle. I paraphrase. So definitely the victory goes to Good Morning Vietnam.
I agree with you 100%. Death to Smoochie is not a film that I want to pay attention to. It's interesting. It sort of piggybacks on the whole Barney the dinosaur thing, but it was 2007 when this came out. Barney had been irrelevant for almost 10 years. That confused me when it came out. It still confuses me today. Good Morning Vietnam is a fantastic mix of Robin Williams doing his off-the-cuff, weird comedy stuff, his force of nature that they like to call him, along with a serious a serious acting role as well. So it's got to be Good Morning Vietnam. I'm right there with Jared. And Jared and I have watched this film along with our good friend Mike many, many times. So I have a feeling that Good Morning Vietnam is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the Nanu division.
It's definitely onto the Sweet 16.
All right, let's go on to the next set of films. This is a tricky one. 1999. They're both these are 90s films, Adam. We've got Jacob the Liar, 1999, 13 Seed. Boy, I've got a long description for this one. In 1944, Poland, a Jewish shopkeeper named Jacob is summoned to the ghetto headquarters after being caught out near curfew. While waiting for the German commandant, Jacob overhears a German radio broadcast about Russian troop movements. Returned to the ghetto, the shopkeeper shares his info with a friend, and then rumors fly that there's a secret radio within the ghetto. Jacob uses the chance to spread hope throughout the ghetto by continuing to tell favorable tales of the information from his secret radio. Jacob, however, has a real secret that he is hiding a young Jewish girl who escaped from a camp through transport train. That doesn't make sense. A rather uplifting and slightly humorous film about World War II Jewish ghetto life. It seems a bit like the Roberto Benigni, doesn't it?
Yeah, Life is Beautiful.
And I believe this is a remake of a early 1970s film. This is going up against the number 4 seed in the group. It's The Birdcage, 1996. Armand Goldman owns a popular drag nightclub in South Miami Beach. His longtime lover, Albert, stars there as Starina, rather. Their son, Val, actually Armand's by his one heterosexual fling 20 years before, comes home to announce his engagement to Barbara Keeley, daughter of Kevin Keeley, a U.S. Senator and Vice President of the Committee for Moral Order. So you can see where his politics stand. The senator and his family descend upon South Beach to meet Val and his father and mother, and what ensues is comic chaos. Also stars Nathan Lane is in it.
Yep.
As Robin Williams' partner. You've got the French Connection. Who's the guy that starred in that? He's the senator. I can't remember him. He played
Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman. Thank you very much. So I will start this off. I think the pick here is obvious. It's got to be The Birdcage. The interesting thing about here is that you have Robin and Jason Lane playing a gay couple. In Robin,
Jason Lane.
or
Is
Jason
that Nathan Lane's son?
Nathan Lane,
His brother?
Nathan,
How are they related?
through marriage, I think.
Okay.
You've got Mr. Lane, who is he's the super over the top, whereas Robin Williams is sort of playing the calmer, maybe not as affected.
Interesting,
partner.
because Robin Williams can definitely do over the top.
You would think he could have done either role. I thought The Birdcage was funny at the time, and I don't have a lot of experience with Jacob the Liar, but just reading that long blurb of text makes me want to fall asleep. So I'm picking The Birdcage. Jared, over to you.
Yeah, I've only seen The Birdcage. I haven't seen Jacob the Liar, although the synopsis makes me interested in seeing it. But I definitely have to give the nod to the Birdcage. It definitely had. It was very popular in its day. People really enjoyed it, and for that reason, I'm giving it the victory.
Adam?
I saw, this is probably not surprising given my upbringing, but I saw Jacob the Liar. I remember it 0, which is interesting because almost all World War II movies
Worst two ever.
I remember really well. For whatever reason, it's not stuck with me.
Do you ever need to make comedic Holocaust movies? I mean, do they ever work?
Life is Beautiful is. The first half of it's.
How else do you deal
comedic.
with such atrocities?
I don't know. I didn't like Life is Beautiful.
Oh, I liked it a lot. But The Birdcage I found not good, and I wonder how it's aged. I wonder if the portrayals of gay men in South Beach is now more, it'd be like
It might
it's
need
almost like they're making fun.
It might need to be a bit more nuanced.
Yeah. But because I at least remember that movie existing, I will go with that.
Well, let's move on to the Orson division, guys. Our matchups for the Nanu second round are locked in stone. Orson division, this is interesting. This first movie, number 3, 1989's Dead Poets Society. Painfully shy Todd Anderson has been sent to school where his popular older brother was valedictorian. His roommate Neil, although exceedingly bright and popular, is very much under the thumb of his overbearing father. The two, along with their other friends, meet Professor Keating, their new English teacher, who tells them of the Dead Poets Society, encourages them to go against the status quo. Each, in their own way, does, and thus are changed for life. Dead Poets Society gets a bye because it's the number 3 seed, so we will not be debating this one until the second round.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go on to the next pairing. This one I'm intrigued by because there's one film in here which I find to be one of Robin's best. That would be the 11th seed, The Fisher King, 1991. After hearing a popular DJ rail against yuppies, a madman carries out a massacre in a popular New York bar. Dejected and remorseful, the DJ strikes up a friendship with Perry, a former professor who became unhinged and then homeless after witnessing his wife's violent death in the bar shooting. The DJ seeks redemption by helping Perry in his quest to recover an item that he believes to be the Holy Grail and to win the heart of the woman he loves.
A lot of radio disc jockeys in Robin Williams films.
This one definitely had a parody of a Howard Stern type character, which I actually found that to be, even at that time, a bit odd. It seemed to be a bit stereotypical, but beyond that, the rest of the movie, quite interesting.
Played by Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges, Robin Williams, tour de forces in this film, directed by
Terry Gilliam.
This is going against the number 6 seed. This gets a higher seed because of how it did in the box office.
Not surprising. This movie did depressingly well.
We're talking about 2009's recent movie, Old Dogs. Charlie and Dan have been best friends and business partners for 30 years. Their Manhattan public relations firm is on the verge of a huge business deal with the Japanese company. With 2 weeks to sew up the contract, Dan gets a surprise. A woman he married on a drunken impulse nearly 9 years before, annulled the next day, by the way, shows up to tell him he's the father of her twins, now 7, and she'll be in jail for 14 days. Wow, what a timing for a political protest. Dan volunteers to keep the tykes, although he's uptight and clueless. With Charlie's help, is there any way they can be dads and uncle, meet the kids' expectations, and still land the account? Co-stars your favorite actor of all time, John Travolta, Adam.
Sure does.
So let's start with Adam on this matchup, the Fisher King versus Old Dogs in an Orson mid-level battle. Go.
So I don't like the Fisher King, and I don't know if it's because I saw it when I was 12 or what, and I have not seen it since. And in my mind, the better version of the same movie, which embarrasses me to say, is With Honors. The movie where Joe Pesci stars as a homeless former
yes, the one
Harvard
that was filmed on the University of Minnesota.
Brendan Fraser. You should be embarrassed. You should absolutely be embarrassed to say that. You're right on point with your emotions.
It's because Brendan Fraser will always be one
George
of the best
Jungle.
to
Correct.
me.
Encino Man.
No, keep going. What's the one where
The
he's
Mummy.
What's the one
He'll
where
always be
plays,
the Mummy.
He's a Jew and he plays football. What's that movie?
Rudy.
Oh, yeah.
Rudy. Great.
He'll always be Rudy to me.
It's not Rudy.
No, it's not Rudy.
It's the one where he's like this on the cover.
Yeah. Oh, God. Ugh. The names.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
No,
There we go.
I know what you're thinking about. I know the movie you're talking about.
All right. So I don't really like the Fisher King, but I once saw Old Dogs, and I don't remember why I saw it. Maybe it was HBO. HBO is the cause for a lot of consternation on my part in this whole thing. And that movie is terrible. It's really, really bad. And so I know that the Fisher King holds like some prominent place in people's hearts for whatever reason, even though it's not as good as With Honors. So we'll go with I'll go with Fisher King.
Okay, I will step up next. I'm picking the 11th seed, the Fisher King, because it is better With Honors. It is better than Old Dogs. It's a very, very interesting film, and it's one that showed Robin Williams' range as an actor.
School Ties.
There we go. So I'm picking the Fisher King. It moves on, but Jared,
It doesn't
let's
matter.
Let's cancel this and just do Brendan Fraser movies.
We can do that
We can do
too.
a Brendan Fraser bracket.
Fraser.
Fraser.
It's with a Z.
Like Brazier.
F-A-R-Z-I-E-R. Jared.
No, there's
My
no
vote
I.
is immaterial because the Fisher King will advance, but I will also throw my weight behind the Fisher King. Terry Gilliam is a visionary director, and I think this movie has some flaws. But overall, it's really, really enjoyable. And Old Dogs, haven't seen it. Sounds like a terrible, terrible experience.
Old Dogs don't need to learn new tricks, Jared.
Fisher King wins.
Next round, RV, the number 7th seed, 2006. Bob and his dysfunctional family rent an RV for a road trip to the Colorado Rockies, where they ultimately have to contend with a bizarre community of campers. I wonder what movie this is inspired by. Number 10 seed is Awakenings, another 1990s film, 1990 itself, actually. A new doctor finds himself with a ward full of catatonic patients. He is disturbed by them and the fact that they have been catatonic for decades with no hopes of any cure. When he finds a possible chemical cure, he gets permission to try it on one of them. When the first patient awakes, he is now an adult, having gone into a catatonic state in his early teens. The film then delights in their new awareness of the patients and then on the reactions of their relatives to the changes in the newly awakened. Jared, we'll start with you.
I haven't seen RV. Sounds terrible. So I think by default, I'll give it to Awakenings. I think I saw this when I was younger. What year did this come out?
90.
90? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my parents liking this movie an awful lot. So I think I'll give it a nod on that because I think, adults in my life enjoyed it and I think I saw it and was like, meh, that's all right.
Okay.
So Awakenings is my pick.
Yeah, I'll go next. I saw Awakenings probably in the home video release, so it was a few years later. It's based, I believe, on a true story, loosely based. And I actually thought it was pretty good. It also stars Robert De Niro. It's a bittersweet story, obviously, because eventually the patients start falling back asleep, or they start reverting back to some of their pre-awake tendencies. So it was one of those stories that wasn't always terrifically happy. But I thought it was well acted, and one of Robin Williams' better doctor roles compared to other movies that are coming up later in the bracket. Adam, to you.
I don't know what movie you're implying RV is stealing from. I'm guessing it's not about
It's
Schmidt.
Vacation.
Oh, okay.
National Lampoon's Vacation, the cross-country trip.
RV is a much worse version of About Schmidt.
Okay,
Was all I wanted to say.
perfect.
So I'll go with Awakenings as well.
All right, so Awakenings
It's a
moves. Awakenings moves on to the next round, and it takes on Jumanji, the second seed, 1995 film. When two kids find and play a magical board game, they release a man trapped for decades in it, and a host of dangers that can only be stopped by finishing the game. It's bye, boys. This is a number 2 seed,
It's advancing.
so it is advancing to the next round to take
Awesome.
on Awakenings. We will cover that battle after we go through.
I feel like we should take a commercial break, but we don't have any commercials.
We don't have commercials, guys. What we do have is the Mindy.
I knew it. I knew it was coming.
So is this the Mindy division?
Mindy Conference.
The Mindy Conference.
Ladies and gentlemen, we find ourselves once again at the end. I hope you've enjoyed our time together. I know I have. Fear not, Scope Faithful. Days shall pass as if they were but a moment, and Jared, Adam, and Shane will return with another thrilling episode. Until then, send your comments to comments@thescopeshow.com or leave a voicemail message by dialing
612-21-SCOPE. That's 612-217-2673.
Thanks for listening, faithful fans. This is Tony Partington saying adios. Tune in next time to another terrific edition of The Scope.